How's it going, guys? It's Doc. I never thought I'd be saying this, but it looks like Bitcoin might have just bailed out Tesla in relations to their Q4 earning reports. Pretty interesting earning reports yesterday. Tesla actually missed the mark, but Bitcoin, it looks like, got them over the edge. And looking back, there's actually a couple other companies who had earnings last week that didn't do so well, and they just happened to not be holding Bitcoin. We're going to talk about all that in this video, but before we get started, welcome back to the channel. For those that are new here, my name's Doc. I'm a resident physician throughout the day, and at night, I take you guys on my crypto investing journey. Last week was crazy. We have Trump tweeting about tariffs on Canada, Mexico, China, all the things, and a ton of earnings. Yes, a ton of earnings. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. Did Tesla kind of get a get out of free jail card by having Bitcoin on their balance sheet? And I think the answer is yes. We're going to talk about Tesla. We're also going to talk about Microsoft, Meta, how Bitcoin could help or hurt them. So stick around. I think we got a lot of really, really cool things in this video. Let's just get started. So Tesla is proving why Bitcoin should belong on corporate balance sheets. I thought this was wild. Over a quarter of their Q4 earnings came from just Bitcoin, and that amounted up to, it was actually just a hair under $600 million. This was pretty gnarly. I actually dug through all the numbers so you don't have to. If they wouldn't have had Bitcoin on their balance sheets, they actually would have missed earnings by over 25%. So pretty gnarly. Well, why is all of this happening? Well, this is because of the new FASB rules, right? So for those that aren't aware, FASB just got changed the middle of December. This is the fair value accounting rules. And this is really, really gnarly because, this is really, really gnarly for companies because it allows them to put on their books not the price that they bought Bitcoin for, but what Bitcoin's actually worth. And we're going to talk about why that's really, really, really important. There are a ton of companies who hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Obviously, MicroStrategy is number one. But if we look at Tesla, they have over 9,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet, which they bought for just over a little over 330 million, which is now valued at 978 million, almost $1 billion in their Bitcoin holdings. Ironically, Tesla sold a lot of their Bitcoin back in the day. They only held on to like a third of it. So if they would have held on to all of it, their Bitcoin bag would be worth a ton more right now. Look at all these companies though: Mara, Riot, CleanSpark. If we scroll down here, there's a lot of private companies too, right? Block One, Tether. Tether's actually a really big one. Tether just reported $13 billion in profit last year. And the gnarly thing is they only have 150 employees. So they're actually the most, they're the company that has the most profit per employee. Each employee brings in $86 million in profit. So pretty gnarly. Tether doing a lot of things, printing a lot of USDT, good for the market. It shows that crypto is that money is flowing into crypto. So like we said, these are all the new FASB rules, and this is good because corporations can now report Bitcoin holdings at their fair value, right? Which right now is just a little over 100,000 versus back in the day, they had to announce what they bought Bitcoin for. And this was really bad because it really didn't give you an accurate holding or an accurate view of companies that held Bitcoin, which is kind of tough, right? So if we look at the Tesla Q4 earnings for 2024, there's a lot of noise on this sheet. I just thought this was really wild, right? Their revenue and earnings per shares, they missed estimates, but the company reported really strong cash flow. And like we said, almost $600 million from Bitcoin gains under these new FASB accounting rules. So despite this miss, Tesla is still up. We're going to look at the Tesla chart here in just a sec. But before we do, down below, link in the description is my BTCC link. You guys can get up to a 10% deposit bonus, up to 10 Gs. Also, if you use the link, you get way, way, way lower trading fees, up to 40% off trading fees. On BTCC, you can use up to 500x leverage on Bitcoin, Solana, ETH, amongst a bunch of others. Not sure I would use 500x leverage, but Bitcoin's been taking a dip. This might be the time to put some leverage plays in. They're a non-KYC, non-VPN, so I would recommend checking them out. Link is in the description below. So let's look at Tesla, okay? This yellow vertical line, this is when earnings came out for Tesla. They bounced around a little bit. They shot up. Now they're pulling back. This pullback is actually because of the Trump tariffs that were announced. But they're up, even with this downpull, approximately 5% since their earning calls just last week. And if I'm not mistaken, earning was on Wednesdays or Thursdays. Wednesday or Thursday of last week. This is really important, though. If we look here, this is the earnings, right? Q4 is the one that we're looking at. Tesla missed earnings, and that's different from Q3 of 2024 because they actually killed earnings. And right, that's when Tesla was doing really, really well. It was almost $500. Everyone was like, it's just a matter of time before they hit 600. So they missed earnings this last quarter. And interestingly enough, I got an email this morning that said, hey, there's a lower lease price for Model 3s. And I thought, that's kind of interesting. They just missed earnings. They're probably trying to push more vehicles out. So, Tesla has Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Although they miss earnings, their stock price is up. Microsoft cannot say the same thing, okay? So when before earnings came out for Microsoft, they were right around 445, 46, 447. Earnings come out, they plummet all the way down to $412. It's been rough since Microsoft reported earnings. And by the way, Microsoft beat their earnings, right? If we scroll down here, Microsoft actually outperformed their earnings, yet the price is still down. Now, is this a coincidence? Just a couple weeks ago, Microsoft voted no to holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and it wasn't even close. Less than 1% of their shareholders voted in favor of putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So kind of some irony there, right? Tesla has Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They miss earnings, but the stock goes up. Microsoft votes no. We do not want to change some of our capital for Bitcoin. They beat earnings, but yet the stock is down. Could be something there. I don't know. Anthony Pompliano, I actually remember when he tweeted this out on December 10th, he says, Bitcoin doesn't care about Microsoft, but eventually Microsoft will care about Bitcoin. Guys, it's only a matter of time. We are in a modern day arms race, not necessarily against weapons of mass destruction, but literally against Bitcoin. We have all these different countries introducing Bitcoin strategic reserves. Trump announced a plan for us to do some research on it. Senator Cynthia Loomis, she wants to buy a total of 5% of the entire Bitcoin supply over the next couple of years. It really is just going to become an arms race. Which country can adopt the most Bitcoin? So we talked about Tesla. We talked about Microsoft. Let's talk about Meta or Facebook. So Meta's shareholders are proposing that they put Bitcoin on their balance sheet as a treasury asset, right? And right here, they're saying that Meta has a fiduciary duty to consider replacing some percentage of those assets with assets that perform better than bonds, right? Because they have bonds on their balance sheet. And we're going to see how bonds has not worked out for folks. So they're saying that as December 20th, Bitcoin price is up over 124% over the previous year. And guess what, guys? Meta has $72 billion in cash that they're just sitting on, some of which is in bonds. This is a chart of TLT. These are 20 plus treasury year bonds ETFs in the US. Guys, this is from 2019, 2020. Bonds have done nothing. They've gone absolutely down. Holding bonds is like holding a melting ice cube out in the sun. The value is just continuing to wash away. So this is actually a bad hold by Meta. They are kind of doing their shareholders a disservice by holding on to bonds. Guys, I'm going all the way back to 2010, right? If you go back to the price of TLT in 2010, it was higher or pretty close to the price that it was just now. And guess what? We've devalued our currency so much in the last 15 years. Literally, this is 2010 right here. Bonds really haven't done anything. Versus if you were to look at the price of Bitcoin, the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Russell, these assets have outperformed. So the thesis that I'm making is these companies, right, Microsoft, Meta, amongst others, should consider putting 2 to 5% of their assets into Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation. So we're talking about Meta and Facebook. Well, why would they consider doing this? Well, I'll tell you one reason. Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, he's kind of been rubbing elbows with President Trump, right? In a video that came out this summer when President Trump was shot in the face, he called him a badass, right? He said that it was pretty badass that President Trump got up and, kind of waved his fist after getting shot in the face. So I would actually not be surprised if Meta put a small percentage of their reserve currencies into Bitcoin, right? And I think this would just kind of set the precedent for other folks to do as well. So, all right, guys, if you got any value out of this, consider hitting the like button, subscribing. I read all the comments below. If you guys hit like, you do subscribe, it's going to show you more content like this, and it also helps push the message out to other people. I genuinely appreciate everyone who made it to the end of the video more than you know. I've been having a blast on this journey. Let me know. What do you guys think? Do you think Meta should hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet? I'll see you guys on the next one.